Alright, so the next option you're going to come to on the Promethean is the control box. The Promethean and the Sovereign are our current only models that have actual control boxes. What that means is it's a control surface that is a different topography of the saber than the rest of the saber, that houses the switches to control the saber. On the Promethean and Sovereign, both of which are low profile, but you can choose the different materials of both the control boxes and the switches. So we'll get into that. On both of these models that you see on our demos, they are brass control boxes, and that's more to go with the gold accent that was chosen for these particular demos that we have. You can choose either a brushed brass, which you see here, and when we say by brushed is it's really the raw machined finish. So it is very bright still as it reflects light, but it is not super polished, and we do offer it in both brushed and polished, so you can get it mirror polished, like similar to the inlay materials that you saw that were mirror polished. We can do that with the control boxes as well. So you can choose either the standard aluminum, the copper, which is the reddish metal, and then the brass, which is the goldish metal. And then that goes along to the next option that you're going to see, and that is the switch choices. On most modern sabers, you have two different switches that operate the saber. You have your main switch, which is usually your forwardmost switch, and your auxiliary switch, which is more towards the rear on sabers where they're in that vertical format. Those switches can be either a solid metal, like what you see here in the aluminum, or you can choose copper, brass, or you can actually choose them to be lit, which will have a clear plunger, which is what you see here. It kind of doesn't want to show up on camera too well, but it's there. And by lit, meaning that it will match the blade color when you are using the saber. So it glows with the same color as the blade. So as you change blade colors, so does the switch color change. Those are also independent of each other. So you can choose one lighted and one metal, or you can choose both lighted, or you can choose different metals for each one. So if you want a brass for the main and a copper or aluminum for the auxiliary switch, you can choose those independently of each other, and that's also independent of the metal choice that you make on the control box. So you can have a brass control box with a copper switch, and then that's what it will look like against each other. So they will have a nice contrast. And same with the aluminum and copper control boxes. Each different choice will allow you to have some variety in the way that your saber will look. The next option you're going to come to is the pommel cap choice. On a saber, you have each end of the saber, you got your emitter where the blade goes, and the pommel, which is the end cap of the saber. And on this saber, you can choose the end cap of the end cap. So the pommel cap, which is this little rounded end here, can be either in the aluminum, like you see here, or it can be one of the other metal choices of copper and brass, which you can have it in either the brushed machine finish or the polished, mirror polished, shiny finish. And then you also have the choice of having the D-ring version. So that will allow it to have the belt attachment D-ring on the actual end cap itself. This is different than what the original 2021 video showed. We have changed the design of the D-ring cap to be pretty much the original rounded profile. So it's no longer the extended nub that we used. It is now the lower profile rounded cap. So it's almost a direct match to the non-D-ring pommel caps.